Hello Flosstube and welcome to my channel. I'm Ros Clark. This is Ros Clark Craft and it's very exciting. This is my first video with 500 subscribers. Way! I have been promising a 500 subscriber giveaway and there will be 2 giveaways in fact, but I'm not going to do them in this video. This is a finish parade. I'm going to show you all the things I've finished in 2023. I'm going to do one giveaway. So, okay, I'm going to do notices first and then we'll get to the finish. Notices, honestly, look at me. It's like it's, you know, school assembly or something. Anyway, the first thing I wanted to say, this video hopefully will be coming out in the weekend before Christmas. On Christmas Day, I will be doing a Flosstube live here on YouTube on my channel, 6 o'clock UK time. I will be here for about an hour, chatting with you, maybe doing some stitching, talking a little bit about some stitchy finishes, some stitchy plans, but also I'd love to see any of you who want to join me in the comments. You know, your chance to ask real-time live questions if you've ever had things that you think, oh, I really wonder, you know, whatever about Ros, or what does Ros think about this? We haven't had thinky thoughts for a while, and I tell you, now I'm on the HRT, I have got thinky thoughts, so those will be coming. But also you might have questions you want to ask about the stitch along that's coming up, or you know, share stitchy things that you've had for Christmas, or stitchy things that you want to try and get finished by the end of the year, plans for next year, whatever it is. If you would just like an hour to come and chat with stitchy people, an hour away from family, an hour with some friends, an hour for some company, whatever your Christmas day is like, I think all of us sometimes feel the need just to kind of have a little and, you know, so it won't be massively Christmassy. We won't be, you know, pulling crackers and doing nonsense. It will be Flossmas. So do come. Obviously, I know not everybody is going to be free for that hour. Not everybody will be free for all of that hour. It's absolutely fine to just pop in for 5 minutes or 10 minutes if that's what you've got. And obviously, if you can't make it, you can't make it. That's fine. I hope you have a lovely day, whatever you will be doing on Monday, the 25th of December. If you're someone who doesn't celebrate Christmas, it will be a lovely thing to come to because, like I say, it's not going to be Christmassy. So it will just be a Flosstube live. And I will be here. And you'll see how well decorated my house is for Christmas. Not at all. And it won't be any different by Monday, and that'll be fine. So do join me for that. We are going to do, the other incentive to join me for that, we are going to do a giveaway, hopefully, if I can work out how to do it, during the Flosstube live. So that's not my 500 subscriber giveaway really, but it will be a giveaway and it will be open to people who are at the live. If I can work out how to do it, like I say, I think I can, but if not, we'll have to do it in the next video. And so then the first proper Flosstube, which will probably be the last weekend of the year, so it probably will come out on the 30th or the 31st. I will do the actual 500 subscriber giveaway because at that point, you know, post offices are open again and this sort of thing. I've had such a nightmare with post offices. Yeah, so I was in 2 Christmas Smalls exchanges, and I also, you may remember, or you probably don't, back at the beginning of 2023, I offered 2 pay it forward gifts, which have taken me all year. I sort of worked out really early on what I was going to do, and it took me all year to actually get it together and get them done. So one of my Smalls exchanges went to Northern Ireland, and that was fine. Noreen got that in good time. And one of the pay it forward gifts went to someone in London, and again, that was fine, and she got it in good time. I posted all of these things together first week of December, so well before last posting days, even for the Smalls exchange for Across the Pond, which was going to America, and the other pay it forward gift, which was also going to America. So I thought, well, that's great. Everybody's is done. I don't need to think about that. Anyway, 10 days later, I got the 2 that were supposed to have gone to America returned. I've never had that before, I don't think. I mean, I'm always pretty good at writing my return name and address and postcode on parcels. I don't think I remember ever it being used. But anyway, these both arrived back on the same day with big orange stickers on, because the post office had not given me the customs forms to put on them. And I should have thought about it, because I know you always have to do it and I didn't. But normally the person at the post office gives you the customs forms and helps you fill it out. And, you know, they fill in the weight and you fill in what's in it, and then it gets stuck on. Anyway, they hadn't been put on. And it's quite expensive to post to America these days. 2 parcels came to nearly 30 quid. So I was quite cross. And anyway, I have emailed and apologised to the Smalls Exchange lady. I think the Pay It Forward lady, I mean, unless you've been watching, and if you are, I'm really sorry, it is on its way. There wasn't like it wasn't a Christmas thing. It wasn't a deadline thing. So I think it's fine that will be a bit late. The other one, I heard back from my partner, Stacey, and she said it's all fine. She's away for the holidays anyway. Her mail is on hold. Hopefully it will be there when she gets back home. So we'll wait and see. But I felt so bad, because I really had tried. And I know, you know, particularly if you are at home and you're sort of watching the post and you're counting down, you're like, well, there's only 2 more days where I'll get post and it must come then, and it doesn't, and then you feel like, oh, maybe I've been left out, or maybe it's got lost and it's never coming, and oh yeah, it's horrid. So anyway, I have emailed her, like I say, so she does know it is on the way and why it was late, and I apologise about that. I can't remember why I was telling you all of this story about the swaps. I have no idea why I was telling you that story. Anyway, let's get on. So that's what we're expecting. Oh yes, so this is coming out, like I say, the weekend before Christmas. There'll be Flosstube live on Christmas Day, and then there will be, oh yes, now this is what there will be. Good. So you know what's coming. There will be a normal Flosstube sometime between Christmas and New Year. On the 31st of December, my Stitch Along, A Celebration of Colour, will be starting. The first part will be available on the 31st of December. And because a number of people have said they really want to participate, but they're not on Instagram. And like I say, I think you can still download them from my Instagram bio if you're not on Instagram. But I will also include the links on YouTube videos, but it may not be on the actual day, except that I think it might be. I'm not going to swear it will all come out precisely on the same day, but hopefully not long afterwards, because I'm also going to be filming over Christmas a series of little videos. I say little, I mean, I'm aiming for 5 to 10 minutes. So probably there'll be half an hour. Who knows? Anyway, to go along with each release of the Stitch Along. Now, it will have, I will show you. So as I've been stitching mine, I've taken photos at each stage. So I'll be able to show you that. I'm also planning, possibly, hopefully, to stitch it again along with the Stitch Along, but in a very different colour palette, just so you can get a sense of that. So hopefully I'll have some actual stitching to show you. But I'm also going to use those videos to do a little bit more discussion about colour theory, and also some of the artists who have inspired me in the Stitch Along and with colour more generally. So those will be hopefully really interesting whether or not you're doing the stitching, because they will be more discussion around colour. We looked in the sort of colour wheel video that I did last month to introduce the Stitch Along. We looked at what you and I might think of just as colour, but really is known as hue, and that is going around the colour wheel, the different hue of colour, the difference between red and orange and blue and so on. But there are other ways that colours change. So they can be lighter or darker, for example. They can be greyer, which can be light or dark, but less saturated. The colours that we will be dealing with mostly as stitchers are fibres, and so fibres in the terms of fabric and floss. Now, if you're buying and using only commercially dyed floss, usually you're dealing with a single colour, unless you've bought something that's very obviously variegated. But hand dyed and over dyed fabrics and flosses will usually have more than one colour in them. And so we'll talk a little bit about how those different colours interact, how you visualise them, how your eye processes them. You know, visualise them in your head, but how your eye processes them, and how that impacts how they work in your design. We'll explain why it's so difficult to do this all over a computer screen, and why you should really try and do it in daylight if possible. So anyway, there's going to be that sort of series of 12 short videos to go along with my 12 parts of the design. I am about halfway through stitching it, and I have to say I am still enjoying it enormously, and I find it really hard to put down and go to bed. So I hope you will enjoy stitching it as well. I think the finished piece, I know there's one or two people, not Stitchy Sally, Flossie Sews and Grows, Sally of Flossie Sews and Grows, said she's going to wait and see, and that's completely fine, obviously, to do that and see what it would be like. I think I want to say the final piece, I've never seen a cross-stitch design that looks like this, and it may well not be something you think, oh yeah, I want to put that on my wall. You might, especially if you have, I think, like a sewing room or a craft room or something like that, be quite a nice thing to put in there. It may well not be something you think, oh yeah, no, I definitely want to display that in my sitting room. You might, and I might. I think it's great, and I think I probably will, but I don't think everybody will feel that, and it won't go, I mean, it slightly depends on the colours you've chosen, but it probably won't go with a lot of people's sitting rooms. But I hope you will think it's still something, A, that was really fun to stitch, and B, that was really... Charlie, out the way, please. Out the way. Hello? Yes, thank you.
I did have one yesterday that I delivered.
That's fine, it came through.
Okay.
Thank you. Good. Yes, so I hope it will be something that you think, yeah, actually, I'm really glad to have stitched that, because you will be learning things from it as you stitch, I hope. And I'll talk about those things to look out for a little bit in the videos as well. So I'm really, really excited about it. I'm so excited that people want to join in with this. I think you'll find it a fun stitch. I think you'll find it a quick stitch. It won't be hugely onerous. I'm now onto the sections which are like 400 stitches at a time, something like that. So, you know, like I said before, I think the earlier parts are slightly larger, and then it gets really quick as we go through. Good. I don't think I have anything else that I need to say, so I'm going to get cracking with my finished braid. And what I'm going to do, sorry, they're all down here, but the list is in front of me. I'm not going to do it in chronological order, not least because I don't think I know the chronological order. So I've worked out my list from a combination of a list that I kept pretty well complete at the back of my diary for about the first 6 or 7 months of the year. Added to that, things that I spotted on my Instagram reel. Added to that, things that I remembered. Yeah. So it may not be an entirely complete list of everything that I've finished this year, but everything that is in this list is definitely something I've finished this year. And also, I haven't got everything. Obviously, a number of things were gifts or swaps or, you know, whatever. Also, 2 things at least are lost. So I will have to insert pictures for a number of these. So I'm going to start with the first section, because I think, I'm not sure if this is absolutely the first thing I finished in the year, but it's pretty close, if not. I'm going to start with things that I designed, so model stitches. And so this was one of, or possibly the first thing I finished stitching this year. I started it definitely in 2022, but I finished it in January. This is Spinsterhood, All Good in the Spinsterhood. This is the first of what I now call my Fierce Ladies series, and I still absolutely love it. I spin. I don't spin at the moment because of my hand issues, but I love to spin. I like to have a cup of tea. I like a stocked bookshelf. I don't have a cat. If I was stitching this now, maybe I might stitch a little dog. because reasons. Yeah, and I just really love how this all came together. So there are 3 colours in it. There's the dark navy, a sort of yellow and a green. No, I think there's also a paler blue as well. Maybe 4 colours in it. I think that's right. You can get the PDF of this from my Etsy shop. For this chart, you can also get, and not a lot of people seem to know this, so just letting you know, you can get a print copy of this pattern. And if you want to add to that a floss pack from Evertote with Roxy flosses. Mine was stitched in DMC, but on the chart there are options for DMC Roxy floss, and I love it. So yeah, so if you like print copies, definitely go and check that out. But PDFs of everything basically are in the Etsy shop. So that was the first Fierce Ladies. This was the second, Mothers of Invention. So all of these represent things that were invented by women, not necessarily actual physical mothers, but mothers of invention. So what do we have? We have cotton buds, pie charts, syringe, the globe, sort of Wi-Fi. That is Hedy Lamarr, isn't it? Her work that enabled what we now have as Wi-Fi. The bra, obviously. Monopoly, not literally invented by a woman, but the game on which Monopoly was based was invented by a woman. And one may say he may have stolen some ideas from a woman. What's this? Oh, pill packet. No, the pill, the actual pill. There we go. Birth control pill, waste paper bin, pedal bin, windscreen wipers, alphabet blocks. And then, not exactly an invention, but the discovery of the double helix structure of DNA. I loved doing that. I do have one more in this sort of format of this series, which is heroines of their own lives. And that's women who've been involved in protest of various forms. As and when people start buying and stitching the first 2, I might even get on and do that third one. Anyway, so that's 2. I'm going to try and put a little ticker up here. We'll see. How many are. And then this one, this was a freebie, came out around Valentine's Day, all the single ladies. I also think Fierce Ladies, so that was fun. Good, so that's 3. Where else? I mentioned single ladies. Okay, the Jacks. So the series started in 2022, but where are they? There's one. There's one. Yeah, so Winter Jack came out at the end of 2022. And then the next 3 in the series were Spring, which I did as this sort of box topper. Can you see that? Bunnies, birds, flowers, boots, rain. Summer, which I finished as a pillow. Ice creams, watermelon, strawberries, flip-flops, sort of tropical leaves. And autumn, which I have not yet fully finished. Leaves, pumpkins, nuts, pears, apples, and so on. There is also a Christmas Jack, which is a freebie on my Instagram feed. I've not stitched it, so it's not on my finished list. I have also done the pattern for the Stitching Jack, which is a sort of variation of the original one. There was a Stitch in London pattern. It's all going to be in my Etsy shop very soon. So, Spring, Summer, Autumn Jack. Nuts. I loved this. I really loved this. So this is one of my medieval inspired patterns. The squirrel was from Medieval Illumination, and then I sort of worked around the design, adding in the acorns and the leaves and the word. This was available in the Stitchy Goodness zine, Forest Friends edition. I did put it in my Etsy shop, and then someone kindly reminded me I'm not supposed to put it in there until March. So it will be available in my Etsy shop. You can't currently get hold of this one. Good, nuts. We're going to whiz through, hopefully. Some medieval ones next. It's going to lead us into the next little section. So this came quite early in the year, but wasn't released till very late in the year, and I have 2. So I'm counting it as 2 finishes. So this was Medieval Manger. This is the better one, so let's show you that. This was for the Stitch in London Christmas ornament book that Marie, who organises the whole event, organised. Marie from Stitches and Diamonds. This was inspired by a medieval illustration of the Nativity. I cut out Mary and Joseph and whoever else around, because what I really loved were the expressions on the animals' faces. So we've got the baby Jesus, and we've got donkey and ox giving major side eye. I really like it. It is full coverage. It's not no stitching. It's, I can't remember, I think it's about 50 by 50. So yeah, it's not nothing, even though it comes out quite small, but I do love it. This was the first one that I did, and the pattern is, I think, basically the same. I often change patterns as I stitch. I think this ended up basically the same, but I stitched it with one strand on 20 count. 20 count? I think so. Might be 18 count. I think it's 20 count though. But actually it really needed the full intensity of 2 strands. So that's why I did it again. So that was fun. Medieval Manger. So that currently, I think you can still get the ornament book from Marie. And then it will be available more widely at some point. Other Christmas ones. I did the first of my Stitching Christmas series last year, which was Button Baubles. I stitched that for Smalls Exchange last year. So then I stitched the other 2 in the series. Reel Tree, made out of these cotton reels. Is that going to focus? Let's give it a minute. No, of course not. I go really close now, so I'm going to focus on that. Anyway, Reel Tree, hopefully you can see that. That was a fun little ornament. And this one, Scissor Star, I really like this one. And I think this one in particular doesn't have to be particularly Christmassy. If you put it this way, it doesn't even look like a star. You know, it's just a stitching chart, stitching themed chart. So Reel Tree, Scissor Star. I was sort of amazed actually how many patterns I had designed and made available this year. It's really exciting. I mean, it's really my first full year of designing. I did have some that came out in 2022, but first full year, and it feels like it's been a really good year. I mean, it's small scale and it's only ever going to be because hobby, not job, but it's been fun. Anyway, this one came out in the Stitches Collective Stitches Against Cancer collaboration. I love the colours on this. I think it's really, yeah, the colours and the lettering, and I don't know, I just love it. I love the sort of non-rectangular shape of it. I did a foam board finish with some multicoloured rickrack and felt on the back. I didn't even put a hanging loop because I just have it sort of leaning up against the thing. This pattern, I can't remember. I can't remember what I did with it or whether it's available at the moment. I'll check. Anyway, it's around somewhere, and if not yet, it will be. Stitch, Survive, Thrive. I think, yeah, I was trying to work out how to do it as a charity pattern, and I think what I've ended up with is that it is in my Etsy shop for sale, but the pattern asks if you'd like to consider making a donation to do that. I think that just worked out easier than me trying to organise it and do the gifting and so on. So if it's in the Etsy shop, which I think it is, it's only £2. And then if you want to make a donation as well, you absolutely can. To-do list. This is one that I've lost. I have no idea what I'm doing. So hopefully you're seeing a picture of it up here. This was a little freebie that I designed for Stitch in London, and we also used it in the finishing class. So I'm going to put here a photo of 1 or 2 of the people who finished it into a little notebook. It was really fun. It was quite a hard class, but everybody did it, and the final results were so good, and it was really nice. People, I think, were really chuffed with what they did. So that's to-do list. Rose ribbon. This was the first one that I did in what I think again is going to be probably an ongoing series. No, it's this way up, and obviously I have not ironed it. So it's a repeating pattern. I've only stitched 1 repeat of it, but you absolutely can keep it going. You can choose whether or not you want to add the edges of that, so you could make it, you know, if you did it on a high stitch count, this could be a really narrow ribbon, or you know, you can add the extra width. You could add it as a border if you've got something you just think needs a bit more to it. So that was rose ribbon. And then the other one I did was butterfly ribbon. I don't know what I've done with this one. But anyway, picture of it here. And it's the same thing. It's a repeating pattern. It's got a border. You can choose whether or not you want to add the border, and you can add as many repeats as you like. There are going to be more ribbon patterns in my future. So those are all the designs I've got, I think, to show you. I'm hoping that my stitching of the stitch along will be done by the end of this year. So that'll be one more. There are a couple of other patterns. I mentioned the Christmas Jack. There's also Velociraptor Christmas, which is a freebie on my Instagram at the moment that I've designed but haven't stitched. Beachbody Ready was a freebie that I designed that I haven't stitched. I'm going to try and stitch that up, and then it will be in the Etsy shop. And I Prefer Reading is a design that came out this year, but I had the lovely Helen from the Diddy Stitcher model stitch it for me. So those are all, I think, the things I've designed and stitched. No, that's not quite true. We're now moving on to the gift section. So these are things that I haven't got with me. And as I say, one or two of these are still in transit. Yeah, anyway, so these first two are going to be sampler ribbons that I'm going to release in the Etsy shop at some point. And I did two versions of it, the red one and the blue one. They're designed so you can mix and match. There's a whole lot of patterns that will fit within this. I think it's 14 stitches. Might be 16, I can't remember. 14 or 16 stitches width. And as you see, I've used them. I just backed it with some lace that I found and used them to put on a little spool that you can then use as a scissor holder. So one of those in red and one of those in blue. They're both done. One has been received, one is on its way. That really is, I think, all the designs. Well, anyway, we'll just keep going. Some of these may be things that I have changed or added to or done a little bit of my own. So other gifts, there is the Christmas Smalls Exchange that is still on its way. So I'm not going to show you a picture of that because she knows who she is and she knows it's coming. And I don't know if she watches my videos or not, but I'm going to count another one for that. There is the one that I did for Noreen. Hopefully I've got a picture of that here. It's a chart that is a freebie from Mary Corbett of Needle and Thread. Mary mostly is an embroiderer, surface embroiderer. So I was a little bit surprised when I was looking for Christmas charts to do, and I came across this one on her blog, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know she'd done that. And she's designed it as a monochrome, but obviously I added in colour. I made some changes to the bottom section, and I added in the Happy Christmas and finished that on a Pringles can. So that was the reindeer pot. My Stitch in London weekend Smalls Exchange was this. This was my foray into 56 count tiny stitching. I stitched it with two colours of Soie Fine on a 56 count fabric from Megan Coffee Crafts, and I really enjoyed it. I did really enjoy it. I found I couldn't stitch for more than about half an hour on it. My eyes would grow tired much more quickly than in a normal stitch, but I really liked it. And there may be more very tiny stitching in the future. These seem to be going back in the year, but anyway, Rejoice Always, put this here. This was a wedding present for friends of mine who got married earlier this year. I can't remember the name of the shop where I bought this, and I have a feeling actually as I was stitching it I couldn't find the link for it, and I think the pattern might have been taken down. I slightly worry it might have been a copy of someone else's. I don't know, it looked like a real shop, but you know, it's just really hard to tell these days sometimes, isn't it? Anyway, but anyway, I stitched that. I stitched this for an Iranian friend. She and her husband were refugees from Iran. They're now settled permanently in the UK. They had a baby this year, which was lovely. So this was designed by Crafty Yams. She was trying to do it as a charity pattern by Gumroad, who absolutely stuffed things up for her. And it all ended up being a mess, but I was really glad to have stitched it, and I did make a donation directly to the charity that she recommended. So that is Zan Zendegi. It's, what is it? Women, Freedom, Life, I think is the translation. I should have looked that up. I think that's about right. A couple of other things I stitched. I went to Hazel the legend. I went to her 70th birthday earlier this year, and I stitched her this little piece from the Common Threaded Stitcher. Not the most recent Common Threaded Stitcher. 2022 Common Threaded Stitcher, maybe. I think it's by Liz Matthews. I don't know if you can still get it, but I stitched this one for Hazel and enjoyed that. I stitched something which I don't think I took a photo of, and I wouldn't probably show you anyway, which was a gift for a friend who'd been through a really particularly awful thing. So I'm just adding one to that, and I know what it was, but I'm not going to show you. And then I stitched another thing for a friend whose 50th birthday it was. And again, I'm not sure I've got a photo of this. If I have, it will be here. And if not, I will try and at least show you the pattern, because I can't now remember precisely what the pattern was or what it said. But it was something about not worrying. I'll have to look that one up and insert a photo. Anyway, I think that was all the things I stitched for other people. So then we are just going on to random other things that I stitched because I wanted to. And these are sort of in order. Starting with, this was definitely, so like I said, I can't quite remember. It was either this or the spinster hood pattern that was the very first thing I finished this year. Again, this was definitely started in 2022. Let's put it the right way up. This was the Darwin sampler from Hannah Cornish. But I am very poorly today and very stupid and hate everybody and everything. I rearranged it a bit to fit in the frame that I had for it. It was framed, but the gift that I just told you about, I was finishing that like literally on the day that I was seeing her on her 50th birthday, and I needed a frame for it, and I'm like, I think the frame that I've got the Darwin sampler in will fit. So I stole the frame from this to go for that, and it worked really well. But then I've not got around to re-finishing this one in a frame. I think it will be a frame again. I just need to do that. So that is Darwin sampler. Then I was doing a lot of sort of springy finishes. I wanted things to go on my gallery wall, which is mostly round finishes. So this was one of the things I really enjoyed stitching at the beginning of the year. This is Liz Matthews' Berry Patch, massively altered. If you look at Liz Matthews' Berry Patch chart, it doesn't look anything like this. It's square and it's in beautiful muted colours. I stitched this as part of Marimi Crafts, Mariam's birthday wild card birthday stitch along. And the idea was to take a chart and just stitch it in your own colours. So that's what I did, and I really wanted a pink rabbit. So that's what I did, and it worked. I had this fabric that I'd bought last year at Stitch in London from, I think it's from Cross Stitch Bunny, and I just loved it. These bright colours. So I just went for it. But I did basically end up recharting the whole thing. You know, all the elements come from the Liz Matthews chart, but they are rearranged into a circular shape so I could put it on my hoop wall, and I love it. I love it. That's Berry Patch. There is Bertie. Bertie is from Satsuma Street, and I love him. Bertie with the flowers. This was, I mean, it was quite a hardcore finish. I'm not sure I would do it exactly the same way again, but in the pattern for these, the model, and there's sort of 3 in a series, I've only done one, they're all in these flower shaped frames, and they're so pretty. And I know where they're from, and they're from America, and by the time you added in the shipping, it was going to be like 50 quid, and I'm like, I'm not paying 50 quid for a frame for a small. That might be an exaggeration, but it was a lot of money. I'm just not prepared to pay that. So I made something. I bought this kind of wooden circle that it's backed on, and then I cut out some matte board in my sort of flower shape with the hole in the middle and glued it all together. The flower shape is not perfect. I think it would have been better if I'd made it smaller. Yeah, there's all sorts of things that are not perfect about this, but it looks great on the wall. It really does. It's so bright and so fun. So that's Bertie. Oh, I've just thrown it on the floor. Okay, I've got my little wren. So one of the things I was trying to do this year was stitch from stash, by which I really meant charts, not so much fabric and floss for me. I had bought lots of charts in 2022 that I really wanted to stitch and hadn't got around to, and I was like, I really want to make an effort to stitch those, and I did pretty well for the first 6-7 months of the year, and sort of accidentally a few later in the year, but I slightly fell off the wagon. Anyway, this was from a chart that I bought in a charity shop from Victoria's Sampler, Button Up Birdie. I'd bought 2 of them for 50p each, and each of them has 2 charts. I stitched one. I think I put the others on the freebie table at Stitch in London. I decided I didn't need to stitch all of them. This is the wren, and I enjoyed this finish a lot. This is just bits that I bought from Hobbycraft glued together. There we go. PVA glue. It's much stronger than hot glue. You do have to wait for it to dry, but once it's dried, it's dried. It's much better. Yeah, so I enjoyed that. That's the wren from Button Up Birdie. Funky Bird is the next one on my list. Let's see if we've got the one that goes with that. Yes. So Funky Bird by Barbara Anna. I think there were letters on this as well, but I didn't want to stitch those. I just wanted the bird. And this trim, I can't remember what I bought it for. It wasn't this, but I had it in my stash, and I'm like, do you know what? This is what I'm going to use that crazy trim on. I sort of made up the colours for this one as I went along, I think, using things from stash. And then I had the same colours, and I thought I'd like to have something that goes with it. So I then stitched this, and again, this is not the whole chart. I can't remember quite else what was on this chart. This one was from Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher. It's also Barbara Anna. I used the same, you know, the colours from this are all taken from this. I used the same bit of trim, and I think it's stitched, yeah, it's stitched on the same fabric. So they sort of are a little pair that sit together. Funky Bird and Spring in My Heart, I think is what this chart is called. So there's that. Tulips and Stars. Oh, so this was such a great stitch. So this was Yasmin from Yasmin's Maybe the Love did the London Marathon this year, and she released a number of charts to help raise money for that, and this was one of them. And we did a little stitch along doing these and aiming to finish stitching as she was running the marathon, which I can't quite remember. I don't think I quite managed, but it wasn't far off. Anyway, I really enjoyed stitching this. I used Sulky on 18 count Ada and in a range of different variegated colorways. It's not perfect, it's fine. I can't remember what the changes were. I don't think any of them were intentional other than the colours, but it's fine. I'm really happy with it, and I made it into that project bag. Tulips and Stars. My pile down here is getting quite small. Jack Rabbit. So this was Cottage Garden Samplings here in the woods. You'll all have seen it. I chose just to stitch the hare or the Jack Rabbit. I wanted to change the colours on this. He's charted in sort of steel greys, bluish greys, and I wanted something that was much warmer and browner. So I did the conversion for that, and then I just stitched him, and I wanted to do him again in this sort of shaped finish. It's just a piece of foam board with the stitching wrapped around and foam felt, and then this crochet trim around the edge, and he's very light and he just leans up against the wall. Jack Rabbit. Spring Wings. This was part of the Get Your Kit On SAL that Sarah from Sew Me Sarah was hosting. I tried, again, at one point I was trying to do one of those every month because most of the kits I have are tiny. Just trying to think. No, I don't think any of the ones I've talked about yet are kits, but there are a couple of others that are coming. So this was Caterpillar Cross Stitch Club from when I was in that I wanted to stitch. I can't remember. I think these were the colours that we were given. think. I don't think I did a colour conversion on it, but I can't swear to it. I did add the beading, which I don't know if you can see. It's not really going to glitter. There, you can see a little bit on the butterfly wings, and yeah, in the middle of the little butterflies, and these little flowers here have got beads in the middle as well. If you can really see that. This one, I dropped something on it while I was stitching it, and it made a little blob somewhere here, I think. And so then what I did is I just, after I'd finished it, I took my paintbrush and did splatters all over it, so it looks like it's meant to be, not just one blob where I dropped something on it. So that's one way of dealing with it if you happen to stain your piece. Obviously it won't work on all pieces, but that's that. So that was Spring Wings caterpillar cross stitch. I think the pattern was Little Dove Designs, and I think you can now get it directly from her in her shop. Tiny Red House. This was a kit. Oh, just thrown it across the room. Hold on. This is a kit from Sue Hawkins, and I think I'm having to look at this really closely. Yeah, I think it's really tapestry. I don't think it was actual cross stitch, but it was certainly done with DMC floss. And as you can see, it's full coverage, and then you stitch it up and stuff it. I think mine could have been stuffed a bit more firmly, to be honest. I don't always love firm stuffing, but I think on this it would have been better. Anyway, Tiny Red House. I really enjoyed making that. It's meant to be a key ring. My cord, yeah, it's not very cord-like. But there we go. And she has all sorts of little kits, beach huts and caravans and just sort of geometric ones and all sorts. That was very fun to stitch. Fresh as a Daisy. This was a kit from Kate Blanford. I bought one of her booty boxes, I think she calls them. What I love about it is that she does them, if she does one that is a sort of not safe for work version, she always also does a safe for work version. So there was a version of this that was not safe for work. You may imagine what it said. I think this one actually came charted as Fresh as a Freakin' Daisy, which is fine, but it's just not quite a word that I would particularly say. So I changed it to Fresh as a Bloomin' Daisy, which I like a lot. It was really fun stitching on the gingham. Yeah, I rarely stitch with black, but actually in this design, I think it works really well. And I love that there's the yellow to give it that pop. The only thing I might do with this is I might go back, and I probably won't now that I think, because I remember why I did this. It looks like, wouldn't it be much better if the hoop was painted yellow? And I agree, it would, but it wouldn't stand out. It looks very greenish here, but my wall where I would put these is very yellow. That's why I didn't paint it yellow. I remember now. So, Fresh as a Bloomin' Daisy. Sting. This is not yet fully finished. I do like, as you see, to fully finish things as I do them. I need to go back and do the Darwin sampler. But this isn't, because although it is a finish, you know, this is a chart that you buy and it's all stitched, I am going to do float. So I did a swap with Justine Stitching, I think she is on Instagram. So she had bought the float pattern and I had bought the Sting pattern. So we both stitched the pattern we were given. We both took ours to stitch in London and swapped the chart. So I now have the float pattern and she now has Sting. And we also have swapped, although I haven't had mine yet, Justine. So anytime you want to send it, at the moment it's great because I'm quite enjoying not being able to stitch that, but I would like to at some point. We swapped the fabrics that we'd use so that we will both have a sort of patchwork piece with different colours of fabric, top and bottom, but I'm going to use the same threads that I pulled for that. I did a conversion and I'm very happy with how that came out. I think it was a really lovely one to stitch, actually, Sting Like a Bee. So I'm looking forward to Float Like a Butterfly to go with that. Flamingo Hexies. This was so much fun. I really want to get another one of these and do it. So these were individual stitches from charts that were available in American Patchwork and Quilting magazine, I think. that Deborah from Kensington Cross Stitch had pointed out, and I'm like, I think I can get that on Readly. And indeed, if you have Readly, you have access to this pattern. It was an issue from late 2022. These are by Kathy Haberman of Hands On Design, and she has now got at least 2 or 3 others of a similar format. There's the one that's stitching based that I really want to do. So you stitch the pieces separately on the fabric, then you use sort of traditional English paper piecing method for cutting those and stitching them together into this circle of 6, and then applique them onto the background, and there are little embroidery stitches to do on the background. The original is designed to be a pin cushion, so that's why there's this hole in the middle, but obviously if you're not doing it as a pin cushion, it's just like, why is there a weird hole in the middle? And so that's why I found this flamingo button to put in the middle. I really like that. Really summery, really pretty. Flamingo hexes. We're almost there. And the last thing, which I hope is going to be my last finish for 2023, but is not yet, well, this and the stitch along that I'm not showing you because it's secret. This is not secret, but also not quite yet finished by the time this video goes out, but I hope it will be by the end of the year. This is Modern Folk Embroidery, Roxy Flossco, Evertote, Holiday Countdown. It is stitched with all of the right colours, but not all of them are in the places where Jacob charted them. The first 2 or 3 days I did, and then after that it's like, I think I want to do something a bit different with this, and so yeah, so I've had to kind of place things a little bit differently, and it's quite fun having to each day open it and see what's next and kind of work out what you're going to do. So there's some bits that I've not done yet because I'm kind of waiting to see. There's also it's supposed to say Anno 2023 across here, and I'm not putting that in. I know what I am going to put in. I haven't charted it yet, and I haven't worked out what colour it will be yet. There is a mistake that I'm not taking out, even though it's an enormous amount of effort to stitch around it. And it is on the birds, and if you can see it, you can have a brownie point. I don't care. I'm not doing it again. It's fine. It's fine. I might do it again. I don't think so. Anyway, so I'm really enjoying it. We've got little squirrels, which mine are grey squirrels. We've got little dogs. Mine are gold dogs because dogs are the best. We're going to have birds. Mine are bluebirds. Today's one that I've just opened but I haven't yet stitched is going to be little reindeer here. The floss for today is, I think it's called Baker's Black. I'm not going to use it. I don't like black. It's not, I mean, it is a little bit of an off black, but it is quite black. I don't think this pattern needs black in it at all. So I'm going to stitch my reindeer in a different colour here. And yeah. So I've got, what is it? I'm filming this on the 21st. So 21st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 5 days worth of stitching to go on this. I'm not completely caught up, as I say, because there are bits that I'm deliberately waiting on, but I will definitely have time over the weekend to do everything and catch up. If I need to on Christmas Day, I'll finish it off. So that will be the last finish of the year. I'm pretty sure it will, because I will have finished the stitch along before that. I don't know what this final total is. I think it's 30 something. It might be just about 40, but I think it's 30 something. I'm pretty happy with that. Other things that I've worked on but not finished this year. My Gecko Rouge, Paxton's Tower and Cottage, that I started on my birthday. I'm aiming to finish it on my 51st birthday. A lot more progress needs to happen on that. I did do a little tiny whip parade, maybe in the last Flosstube or the one before that. And so you'll know the other 2 things that I've been stitching on are Modern Folk Embroidery, Dream of a Winter Garden. That's what I'm going to move on to after I've finished the Holiday Countdown and my stitch along. I might finish that by the end of the year, but I'm not certain, and I'm not going to, you know, pressure myself to do that. But I might do. That might be one other. And then I've got that sort of big piece of fabric that I'm doing little stitches that are stitching themed, and they're all going to be in red and from lots of different charts. So that's an ongoing project, and I guess you could count some of those as mini finishes when I do them. At the moment I've only got half of one chart done, so it's definitely not a finish. And then I've got one unfinished object sitting in a drawer that I've not stitched on all year. That is a Saviour's Praise. I definitely want to come back to that, but it probably won't be until I finish the Gecko Rouge, because it's another big project. So yeah, so I think that's pretty good. I think I was surprised how much of my stitching ended up being model stitching for my designs. I wasn't anticipating doing so much gift stitching. I try not to do loads of gift stitching because I like stitching for me. But it, you know, by the time you include swaps and exchanges and that kind of thing, it ended up being 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And they're all smalls. 10 smalls is fine for gift stitching. And so then non-model, non-gift stitching, 3, 6, 9, 12, 14 finishes, 14, 15 finishes maybe on that by the end of the year. So that is a smaller proportion than I had thought it would be. I don't know that I have any feelings about whether it's good or bad, but it is what it is. It is a reason why the sort of Get Your Kit on Sal and the Stitch from Stash didn't get quite as much love, because it got taken over by model stitching. It's okay. Yeah, it's fine. So that's what I stitched in 2023. What did you stitch in 2023? What were your favourite pieces? Were you pleased with what you finished? Did you feel like you just made progress on stuff but didn't really get to the end of things? Are you going to have plans for next year? Are you going to think about what charts you've got sitting in your stash that you really want to get stitched next year? Whips that you want to get finished? I do really recommend stitching smalls. I know lots of people love bigger charts, and that's absolutely fine. If you can hear that beeping, it's just my washing machine telling me it's finished. Yeah, and that's great. I can see the appeal of that. As someone in a very small house with very limited wall space for big charts, I'm not that drawn to them. And I also like things I can finish. So there we go. That was my Finish Parade 2023. Here's to 2024. Hope to see you again then and before. Thanks so much for watching.